It was a nice relationship. He was a very, very nice guy, that's for sure. And he made me most welcome in the band. And he was just a great guy to be around, great guy to be with. He was fun. I did actually play on every gig of the passing show, Ronnie Lane's passing show, which was, we took a circus tent. I've got this off my shelf to show you. It's a poster. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
But it's a poster for one of the passing show gigs on Thursday the 28th. That would have been in June in 1974. And the entrance fee was £1.10.
The whole tour, I have to say, really was a Rod Stewart adventure. He had been to America before. He was very comfortable. He was very outgoing, very friendly.
Yeah.
He hit it off with us right away. And as the gigs, as we had more and more gigs, I kind of fell into my own analysis of the faces. And these other guys like Kenny Jones and Mac, and they were really like kind of like their own kind of thing, and they all had this look, and you sense a real camaraderie amongst those guys, and they were really kind of laid back and mellow. And maybe that's, maybe shyness, maybe America was overwhelming. Amongst themselves, they were fantastic.
I love all their music. And getting back to what Mark was saying, about Ronnie, I think what you touched on there, Mark, is correct, actually, because he was quite a shy guy. He wasn't, I think when he felt very comfortable with the people around him, probably like the guys in the band, and he would probably sort of open up. But I did notice that, myself, when I first joined Slim Chance, the first thing I said to Ronnie was, why aren't you playing bass? And he said, well, he said, I love the bass, but he said, I find it much easier to play guitar and sing. And so I said, oh, fair enough, And but then, of course, I was a bit worried about, am I going to be playing the right lines? So I said, what kind of stuff do you want me to play? Is there any particular thing that you want me to do on any of the songs? And he said, Steve, just go ahead, do your own thing, play whatever you want and enjoy yourself. So that's how it was. And he never once, commented on any of the bass lines. I mean, I listened very carefully to what he'd been doing, obviously. But I did my own thing, and it was great. There was never any sort of, but he wasn't the easiest of guys to actually become sort of great friends with, so I echo what Mark said there. But he was a really, really nice person. He was very nice to me the whole time I worked with him, which wasn't that long, really. It was the making of Any More for Any More, the album. And then he asked me if I'd join him on this tour, which I was delighted to do, and that's now gone down in history, that tour. So when the Faces were formed, because it was Ronnie's band, he started it, and but getting somebody like Rod Stewart in, I don't think Rod Stewart was ever going to be one of the boys. I think he was always going to be Rod Stewart, and because he as with the many sort of frontmen, I think he really had an enormous sort of ego. I think you have to do that, to frontman things, and I think that eventually that really got to Ronnie, and because what he, getting back to your question about his sort of organic writing and stuff like that, and I think, so I heard, you know, Ronnie was presenting his songs, you know, for Rod Stewart to sing, and very few of them actually ever got sung. And so I think in the end, Ronnie just wanted to get away from all that superstardom sort of business, and which is exactly what he did. And he moved to the country. He had a sort of 1,000-acre farm, and it was very, very remote. But he had his, you know, recording studio down there, the Ronnie Lane Mobile, and that's when I met Ronnie. You know, at that time when he was really almost a farmer and a musician, because he really embraced the lifestyle. He really did. You know, all the local farmers and all that became his friends, and he was drinking with them in the local pub. And it was a very kind of, you know, strange experience, because when I went there, he asked me if I, you know, would stay the night and do some recording the next day. I mean, you did ask how I got that gig. I'll tell you in a minute. But when I actually got to the farm, I thought, yeah, I'd be staying somewhere really nice, you know. It didn't work like that at all. But he said, well, Steve, there's an old caravan over there, you know, you can sleep in there, you know. And so I kind of went in there, you know, the roof was leaking, there was no toilet. So I said, Ron, you know, if I need to go to the toilet, where do I go to the toilet? he just gestured to this, you know, 1,000 acres of land out there. He said, wherever you want, son.
How did you get the gig? Who recommended you? How did you?
I was doing a lot of session work at the time, because the Colin Bloodstone album, Ennismore, was a very successful album, and I was doing a lot of sessions with Bruce Rowland, who was the drummer with Joe Cocker and the Grease Band.
Right.
And Bruce had joined Ronnie, and they had a bass player called Chrissy Stewart, a fabulous bass player who sadly passed away recently. And Chrissy Stewart decided to go to America and join Joe Cocker. And then they had another bass player, an African guy who Bruce didn't like his playing at all. But Bruce and I had done a lot of sessions together, loads of sessions together. And he rang me one day and he said, would you like to come down to Ronnie's farm with me? And I introduce you to Ronnie because we need a bass player. So the other guy, you know, he's just, it hasn't worked out with him. And I just said, yeah, I'll definitely come down there. But it was just to meet him, really. But I didn't really know who was going to be there. But they had Gallagher and Lyle down there, and Billy Livesey on keyboards, Kevin Westlow. And it was great because he had an old barn where we played, but it was all linked up to the recording studio, the Mobile, which was outside the barn.
Right.
And I played a couple of tunes with him, and he said, "Great," you know. And that's when he said, "Do you want to stay and do? You want to stay and do an album with me?" You know. And I said, "Well, yes, I do."
When I was younger, I met Joe Cocker and the Grease Band when I was a kid. When they would come to New York, from their very first visit in New York, I met them through someone else, and they would always call us. So I met Bruce Rowland when I was about 17, and he was a great drummer. Also, another quiet guy, another one of these guys that was kind of quiet, low key. But that Grease Band was another one of those great bands, and Bruce Rowland was a big part of that sound. That everybody in that band was fantastic.
I think I've worked, you know, I've had the pleasure of working with some really fantastic drummers during my career. And I would say that Bruce he's just right up there at the top, really, because I think he's one of the greatest rock and roll drummers ever, full stop. And it was a real, you know, the band that we had with Ronnie, although I didn't do that many gigs with him, that particular tour, it just rocked every night. You know, it was great, and Bruce and I became great friends. And you know, as I'm sure you know, he passed away about, I don't know, about 8 years ago. But he was yeah, he was a great friend of mine, and I miss him. I really do. You know, it's he actually retired from playing probably about, I don't know, 20 years ago, and he moved down to Devon in the southwest of England by the coast. But he used to phone up, you know, about every 2 weeks. The phone would go, and he'd say, "How are you, old chap?" You know, because a lot of people don't know the fact that Bruce started his drumming career. He was a military snare drummer in the Coldstream Guards.
Wow.
You know those guys that wear the Busby hat and all that, and they guard Buckingham Palace with the Queen and all that sort of thing. Well, that's why he was in the army, and he became a military snare drummer. And his timing as a drummer, I think, stems from that. You know, his military training, but he had the voice to go with it. You know.
Well, you know, and just to wrap up, you know, it's amazing, you know, when I go to see you guys, when I get to London, that Ronnie's legacy still lives on. People still dig the music. You guys pack clubs, you play festivals. We'll talk about the...
Well, I mean, I think personally, it goes back to his songwriting.
Okay.
Because the songs, they were brilliant then when he wrote them.
Right.
But they're great songs, and they've stood the test of time, and they're brilliant now. And there are so many people that love his songs. I mean, I tried to introduce a few original songs into the Slim Chance Act, and you know, I managed to get one or two, you know, past the sort of post, but really and truly, people don't come along that they don't really want original stuff. They want to hear Ronnie's songs, and I get that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's slightly frustrating being in Slim Chance sometimes, because Ronnie, we don't have Ronnie, you know, we don't have him, and it's very difficult to we can sing his songs, which we do to the best of our ability, and people, they just love it. But if he was around today, I'll tell you, he would be a major, you know, a talent, an international superstar. Whether we would want it or not, I don't know, but.